Hey guys, today we'll be looking at the prices of things at the Houston premium outlets. And just for reference, this is around typical holiday weekends like July 4, December, so just be mindful of that and typically go to get the best deals around holidays. First, we'll start off with Armani Exchange. At Armani Exchange, they have things going up to 60% off for most things. There are going to be polos like for 50 bucks, you could get that for $20, and then there are like a bunch of things that are prices marked, like $20 for shirts. You could get some shorts for like $10. And this is just a view around the store to show you like the different products that they have. So they have a bunch of joggers and pants and even some sunglasses and watches as well. They even have a couple of bags if you're into that stuff. Next up, we have Movado. Typically in the window, they have the headliner watch on sale, which is a museum for $369. Last year, I got a Timo for much cheaper than that, but these vary between 20% going up to 60%. So you could look at the Movado Bold here and its price. There are also like Hugo Boss and Lacoste and all the other brands that Movado carries, and those vary between 20% and 30% off. In Movados, you could see them for like 40% off, and then they even have like Coach and other related watches going for like that, and these are the Ferrari Collection going for 30% off. At Tory Burch, they have up to 50% off going on. Typically it's like 40%, and they typically have a long line outside too. They have a good lineup of shoes, and just to give you an example, here's one for $248, so then you split that in half. And then they have a bunch of coats and clothing and a couple of bags out there as well. Here's some of the jewelry that they have, slashed down to like $79, and then you can take an additional on top of that. And here are just some more styles and prices of those. They even have sunglasses and totes as well, if that suits your fancy. And then here's some of the clutches going for like 50% off as well. And more shoes over here too. Asics was doing buy one get one free. I didn't really see any other sales beyond that. It's 40% off there. And then at Tumi, 25% off the entire store. So looking inside there, they do have 30% off, as you can see in the tags over there. And then 20% off much of their wallets, including the carbon ones, which typically retail for like 50 to 60. 25 to 30% off some of their backpacks. And then onward to Hugo Boss, where they have 50% off and like 40% off certain polos. So here's just a view of some of the styles that they had. And then of course the outer leather jackets for going like a $299 for those. And coats were 40% off, and much of their suits were like 40% off as well. Here's a suit example going for $849. Of course you take 40% off that. And then we go onward to Lacoste, where they have the entire store at 50% off. So as you know, Lacoste polos are typically the same price. You just take 50% off of that and then you're good. So here are just a bunch of the different styles they have. Next we go onward to J. Crew, where you can see prices going up to 60% off. So for example, here are some sweaters. Then here's some of the flannels and button-ups, polo shirts, starting at like $15. Then cashmere sweaters, these are priced as marked. Much of them are like 40% off. And then high-rise skinny jeans going for 60% off. And then more jeans going for 60% off, also including the price for you to see here. And then some of the different work-related clothing. Unfortunately, the suits are out of the store-wide promotion. However, you could go to the men's clearance side and you could get an additional 60% off there. Here's the Coach store offering 70% off, which I will say that this is probably the best sale that I've seen for Coach, because you could get 70% and you take an additional. So I'm just going to show some of the prices of the handbags and then all the different clutches and styles, just so you get a feel of it. So here's one example. You just take 70% off that and then you're good. And then more totes and stuff, still 70% off. But yeah, this Christmas time sale is typically the best one if you're going to go to Coach and pick some stuff up. Here's some shoes as well. And then here's some other handbags and their styles. And that's it. Here is Sunglass Hut, and they are running $35 off much of the frames, with some special styles starting at $99. So here were the two frames that were on sale at that time. And here's much of the Ray-Bans going for $35 off here. Cole Haan was running 60% off their store, but after that I promptly ran to Men's Coach, where they had pretty much the same sale, 70% off and then additional 20% off. So imagine like a $500 bag like this going for $150, and likewise a leather laptop bag like this going for a similar amount as well. And here's some of the backpacks that I saw that I really liked. And then here's a wallet for $120, so you mark that down more, and it's significantly cheaper. Even these high-end looking $600 bags go down to $180 for this sale. Michael Kors decided to rival Coach and do 70% off as well. So here's some of that stuff. Here's like a bag and wallet for $129, and then take 70% off this lot of clutches and wallets that they have. Here are just some of the bags so you can see what the prices are. So imagine something going for $368 gets marked down to $110. Next up, we have True Religion, which has 50% off. So much of the jeans that are going for over $100, you just mark them down 50%. And in the clearance, it's the same thing. You just take 50% off the red tag instead of the white tag. So it's even better there. And here's just another view of the shirt styles to be seen. Kate Spade was running 60% off, but I didn't walk in. Went off to Armani Outlet, and Armani Outlet had up to 50% off for much of the items that they had on display. So like you take this $145 ties and you mark them down by 50%. And then you take a look at these $300 suits, which I believe these were prices marked, so you can't go any lower than that. But you could take some of these pants and then you could mark these down 50%. And you could take a suit like this at $2,800 and mark that down by 50%. And then these shoes are going for 40% off, so in the next slide we have an example, which you take this price like $140 and mark it down by 40%. And then here are some of the watches as well. And I think these were prices marked. Watch Station was holding up to 50% off and then a 30% on top of that. So take a look at these watches and then you take 50% and then 30%. And likewise, for any other style that you see in the store, just basically do the same thing. Take 50% and then take 30% on top of that. I'm just showing the different styles for you to get an idea of what's here. In other news, Clark's Bostonian is running buy one get one $20 off. And here we have Aldo running 50% off. Tag Heuer typically runs 25 to 50% off and puts a headliner watch for like $700. Burberry typically does a tiered model going from 10% to 30%, so depending on how much you spend is how much you get off. So here's a $1,000 jacket, and then here is a $140 shirt, I believe. Then here's some of the bags that you have. So of course, you could get up to 30% depending on how much you spend. Polo Ralph Lauren was running 50% off their stuff. Oakley was running 50% off as well, and that includes most of their lenses. Disney was running 50% off for most of their products, and that includes some of their cute plushes and even some of their dolls as well. Gap was running 50 to 75% off their kids and baby store. And then Old Navy was holding up to 75% off their store with some $3, $4, $5 specials. Levi's was going for $39 jeans. And then Crocs were going for buy one get one free end of season clearance. Crocs also had 40% off their clearance, so you could get some slides, sandals, and other shoes for quite cheap if you could find a style and size that fits you. Steve Madden was running buy one get one 70% off, and Vera Bradley was running 50% off and then 30% extra. Tommy Hilfiger did up to 60% off their store. And now time for food. These are the options that you get if you walk into the food court in Houston Premium Outlets. Of course, there's no sale on the food, but one can dream, right? So Godiva was buy one get one 50% off, and then up to 50% off these particular items. So they do select the items that do get the sale. Brooks Brothers was doing 70% plus an additional 20%. And you could even get 2 men's suits for $599. Banana Republic was doing 60% off site-wide across their store. And at Bose, you get varying products with different prices here. So if you take a look at this soundbar, you could get it for $399 rather than $700. Fossil was running 70% off across what they sell, including their bags, watches, and clothing. And Perry Ellis was doing 60 to 70% off across their clothing and shoes. Forever 21 was running 30% off across their store. And Swarovski was doing a tiered model, which you could get up to 75%. So some things 50% off, like these types of necklaces. And then depending on how much you spend, you could receive 20%, well, up to 50%. So here are some of the prices of some of the things that you could see at the store. And here's Aeropostale doing 70% off their store. And then Skechers giving 50% off your second pair. Lastly, Furla was giving up to 70% off on their store. And that's all. I hope this gives you a very good idea of how much you'd spend at the Houston premium outlets. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and that would greatly help me. Hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.